What is good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Raider Alex back with yet another video for you guys. In today's video, I wanted to talk about the quarterback position, and with the recent news that the Denver Broncos are set to release veteran quarterback Russell Wilson, this has definitely led some people to speculate of the possibility of the Raiders going out and pursuing Russell Wilson. And I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on whether or not I think this would be a good option for the Raiders. Now, one thing when it comes to the quarterback position we do have to speak on is Antonio Pierce talked about the quarterback position, and he mentioned that ideally he wants to go with the youth movement, whether that be through the draft or writing it out with Aidan O'Connell. And he specifically said he doesn't want to put a band-aid on the position. So after he said that, that kind of led me to believe that we're either going to go draft a quarterback or stick it out with Aidan O'Connell. But could there be another option? Could the Raiders really consider signing a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson? Now, when it comes to Russell Wilson, I mean, last season I did not really see him as being the biggest issue with the Denver Broncos. I actually thought he played pretty well. I mean, if you compare his statistics to a guy like Patrick Mahomes, I mean, they were very similar stats. And overall, I thought he played pretty well for the Denver Broncos, but due to financial circumstances, Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos decided to bench him for the last 2 games of the season, and they essentially completely alienated Russell Wilson, which led to this whole situation. There was speculation beforehand that maybe they're going to try to trade him, but it looks like they're not going to be able to get any assets for him, so it looks like he will be set to hit the open market here soon. And you know, I made a video about this like about a month ago or so, talking about the Russell Wilson situation and whether or not I think it could be something for us to look into. Could it potentially be a good option? And about a month ago, I mean, I said that I wouldn't really mind us going after Russell Wilson. I mean, when you look at it, he had good stats last year. He's a mobile quarterback, he's a veteran, and especially now from what we know, you should be able to get him at a very affordable price. I mean, who knows? There may be a possibility that maybe you can get him for a veteran minimum, but even if it's not the vet minimum, I mean, you can get him at a very good price. And it could be a potential situation where if he can just kind of revive his career and be that Russell Wilson from his Seattle Seahawks days, then that could be a huge plus for the Raiders, and really any team that signs him and is able to get this type of production out of him. So really, I think it's an interesting topic, because when I look at it on paper, the fact that you don't have to trade any assets for him, you very likely can get him at a very affordable contract. He's coming off of a good season. He's a mobile quarterback. He's a veteran. You know, when you factor all these things into consideration, I think on paper it looks very promising. It looks very intriguing. But the biggest caveat that I would have to say when it comes to the Russell Wilson situation is the off-field issues, and specifically when it comes to the locker room. It seems as though Russell Wilson with the Broncos, there was definitely something there. It really didn't seem like Russell Wilson was able to connect with his team. We even saw at a certain point last season where one of his teammates was like basically about to fight him on the sideline. So that's definitely never a good look. And one thing, you know, just a couple days ago, I just watched the Marshawn Lynch video on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, and I never watched this video beforehand, but it just popped up on my YouTube feed, and I watched the video, and what's pretty surprising about that is just the whole dynamic and the whole situation of Russell Wilson when he was back with the Seattle Seahawks. You know, if you haven't done so, go ahead and watch that full video. That way you can get the full context. But essentially, Marshawn Lynch explained that, you know, one game where they were playing, I think, the Carolina Panthers, it was a game where they expected that Russell Wilson and just the Seattle Seahawks offense was going to be able to produce in the air because their secondary group was pretty weak that year. The game didn't really pan out that way, and ultimately they had to rely on their rushing game to get the victory. And Marshawn Lynch just wanted to reach out to him just to kind of let him know that, you know what, it's not that big of a deal that he didn't have a good game, and just kind of give him that reassurance that that's what Marshawn Lynch is there for, right? If Russell Wilson doesn't have a good game, then that's where he can rely on his running back, and also vice versa. If Marshawn Lynch isn't having the best game, he would expect Russell Wilson to kind of carry that load You know, at the end of the day, they're teammates and they should both look out for one another. And Marshawn Lynch didn't really go into details into what Russell Wilson said, but it seems like he didn't really take that criticism very well. And he even called Marshawn Lynch from a private phone number. So it just kind of gives you the sensation that Russell Wilson didn't really want his teammates to have access to his phone number, which, you know, is kind of weird. And what's even crazier is at a certain point there was a year where I guess Pete Carroll had told the players that if they ever wanted to get in contact with Russell Wilson, if they had any issues with Russell Wilson, that they should report to Pete Carroll, the head coach, or anybody else on the offensive staff, and then they would reach out to Russell Wilson, which is just another weird scenario. I mean, you have to go to the head coach to talk to your quarterback. I mean, why can't you just go teammate to teammate? So just taking that into consideration, it kind of makes sense, that whole weird situation with the Denver Broncos. It just seems like there may be some red flags when it comes to Russell Wilson, when it comes to his leadership, just his ability to relate within a football team. And you know, I will say that was a long time ago when it comes to that Seattle Seahawks scenario that Marshawn Lynch spoke about. He hasn't played for the Seahawks in quite a while, but still, if Russell Wilson still has those same type of tendencies, that could be the biggest red flag for us. I mean, like I said, on paper it looks like a good scenario, but you really have to evaluate the character of Russell Wilson and whether or not he would be a good fit to the locker room in general. There's been rumors and speculations that Russell Wilson could potentially be a cancer to the locker room. So I think that's the biggest thing the Raiders have to watch out for. Ultimately, we've been seeing a lot of rumors about Russell Wilson potentially coming to the Las Vegas Raiders. But based on what Antonio Pierce said, that he wants to go young at the quarterback position and he doesn't want to get a band-aid at the position, I don't think we're going to target Russell Wilson, because ultimately I don't see him being the long-term future. I see him being more of a band-aid type of scenario for us. Even though, I mean, he is really the best option when it comes to the free agency market. He'd be a much better option than like a Kirk Cousins or a Baker Mayfield. And like I said, you could get him at a very good price, but ultimately, I don't see him being the future. He's getting up there in age as well, so a lot of things to take into consideration. Like I said, about a month ago, I was okay with us. Now, just kind of knowing a little bit more about the off-field issues, the potential red flags when it comes to Russell Wilson as a leader, I'm a lot more skeptical about it. Ultimately, I think the mindset that Antonio Pierce has of trying to go via the draft, or ultimately just sticking it out with Aiden O'Connell and ideally trying to build him a fantastic roster, you know, build up that offensive line, continue to invest on the defense. I think those type of scenarios are the best options for us moving forward. I still think we should look at the quarterback position in free agency, but ultimately I think you should just look for a guy that is a veteran, that is ideally has some type of history or familiarity with the Luke Getsy offense. That way he can help our two young quarterbacks in Aiden O'Connell, and hopefully we draft a quarterback this offseason. But Raider Nation, I just wanted to give my quick thoughts and opinions on Russell Wilson potentially coming to the Las Vegas Raiders. I definitely want to get your guys' feedback though in the comment section down below. Let me know, do you guys want Russell Wilson on the Las Vegas Raiders? But with that being said, Raider Nation, that is all for you guys in today's video. Anybody that's new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.